We're going to look at what Labour plan to do next. Everyone's talking about reform taking votes away from the Tories. The other big stories of this election were the SNP being wiped off the map and anti-Israel independent candidates taking votes from Labour, with a few of them beating Labour and getting elected. And it wasn't always a pleasant, dignified process. Labour's Jess Phillips just managed to hold on to her seat in Birmingham, despite a candidate from George Galloway's Workers' Party coming very close to unseating her. She was heckled as she accepted. Take a look at this.
This election has been... Can you throw them out?
Can we have our first speeches?
Yeah, you heard that right. She demanded that the Islamists chanting abuse at her are thrown out. Where do you want them removed to, Jess? Rwanda? Your party just closed that down. In fact, your party invited this ideology into the country and stops any efforts to restrict them coming in. So enjoy the consequences of your own opinions. And while Labour were the winners overall, it wasn't all good news for them. They lost 4 seats to Muslim independents who campaigned on a pro-Gaza platform. In Leicester South, around 30% of the electorate are Muslim, and it's been held by Labour's Jonathan Ashworth for 13 years. He lost it to Shaukat Adam, who declared, "This is for Gaza." As Britain's Muslim population grows faster than other demographics, will we see similar candidates campaigning successfully along sectarian lines in the future? Well, here's candidate Ahmed Yaqub, who came pretty close to unseating the Labour candidate.
To us, to the people of Birmingham, because the people of Birmingham were united under the banner of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. And that is the banner that when we go to be judged by the biggest judge of them all, we know we can say to the Lord and be proud about it.
And the SNP were wiped out. They took a harder drubbing than the Tories. It was like the end of Braveheart, where William Wallace is hung, drawn and quartered. And the SNP were literally quartered, winning 1/4 of the votes they won in 2019, leaving them with only 9 MPs in Westminster. Jings my bob! Ironically, Sturgeon was a commentator on election night, so we got to see her tears in real time. Some of the electioneering was terrible, like when independent candidate Tanushka Mara's sign was defaced. Look at this. Vote anus. This is not funny at all. This is supposed to be a dignified election. Oh my God. Horrific. And Rishi Sunak fought a terrible election, making catastrophic mistakes such as leaving early on D-Day, and right up until the end he seemed to be trying to put Conservative voters off. Here he is with Britain's most tattooed mum on Good Morning Britain. Look at that. They even put him in the cuck chair. Rishi's campaign only makes sense when you realise he's already accepted a job, probably as head of inclusion for BlackRock or something like that, on $5 million a day, and he didn't want the faintest chance of a Tory victory to derail his career progression. And it was the most distorted vote in history. As this chart shows, Labour won 1/3 of the vote but got 2/3 of the seats. More people voted for Reform than the Liberal Democrats apparently, but Reform only got 5 seats and the Lib Dems got 71 seats. And this is because Reform's vote was more evenly spread across the country, so they came second in a lot of seats. But in a first-past-the-post system, second place counts for nothing. A lot of people are disenfranchised then. I mean, surely we need proportional representation. So we've got a Labour government. What will Labour do? Well, Rishi's Rwanda plan is now scrapped. After the Tories spent hundreds of millions of pounds on it, Keir has killed it. A Labour insider told The Telegraph, if Rishi Sunak thought Rwanda would work, he wouldn't have called an election. It was a con. By calling an election, Sunak was acknowledging that fact. Labour's plan to deal with asylum seekers is to fast-track their applications. So, in other words, if you can get across the channel on something that floats, Labour will rubber stamp your application to stay. Doesn't sound like much of a deterrent to me, although it does mean we'll have an excellent Olympic rowing team soon. Angela Rayner pledged to send migrants everywhere in the UK, saying every borough must take their fair share. But is this just to tilt the electoral balance in Labour's favour? 18% of Britain's population is now not of British origin, and the majority of these people vote Labour. Without these votes, Labour would have just got about 16% of the vote, according to some analysis by Barsoom on Substack. So there's a huge incentive for Labour to increase the rate of immigration so that the Tories will never be able to get elected. And it doesn't look like we'll see an end to divisive race-baiting politics either, with David Lammy as the new Foreign Secretary. David Lammy sees racism everywhere, even hilariously complaining that the BBC's reporting of the Vatican's smoke was racist because it said, is it white smoke or black smoke? No, David, they release white or black smoke to signal whether a new pope has been appointed or not. It's got nothing to do with race. And as Trump congratulated Farage on his success, but didn't congratulate Sir Keir, it looks likely that David Lammy will have to beg Farage to get deals done with America. Now, I'm joined tonight by two excellent comedians. Paul Cox, the People's Gammon, on my left,
hey,
and Bruce Devlin. Well, I'm not going to make up a. we just call him Bruce. How are you both doing?
Tired. You?
No, I'm great because I'm very ill prepared for this. Unless you're going to ask questions about the England game, I might not be able to help you out,
right,
Leo. But I'm absolutely over the moon that England won on penalties.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's the first. I mean, we've got to congratulate Keir Starmer's government because that was their first act of government to make sure that England won the
Big
football.
thanks to the Labour Party. Well, you never know, do you?
I think those footballers were just so excited about how much extra tax they were going to pay.
Yeah. Are you pleased that England are through?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I'm kind of delighted, even though I'm Scottish.
Are you?
I've been here for so long, I'm becoming very English. Also, my parents are mostly English.
Are they? Mostly?
There's not like 18 of them.
Right.
But my dad's half Scottish.
So you are
Which
mixed
half?
race, Leo?
What's that?
You're mixed race.
I'm mixed race.
I know.
Yeah. My mum's from Woking and my dad's from Surrey. Are they different places? Anyway, getting back to the election.
So you're a blended family.
My dad's Anglo and my mum's Saxon. Getting back to
Are you the Reed?
Getting back to the election, I mean, I'm kind of worried. We've seen a few things in this election that really sort of pricked up got my alarm bells ringing. We've seen 4 candidates elected, basically running on a platform of Gaza, and a lot of them have said some dodgy things during the election. Some of the ones who ran on the same platform and didn't get elected said some dodgy things as well. There's Islamism entering UK politics, sectarianism, people voting based on what their demographic group or their cultural background is rather than on policy. And this worries me, Paul.
Well, it's representative of what the concerns of those particular constituents, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, they're getting voted in because their constituents support their views. It just so happened. I mean, I'm not quite sure which part of Gaza Birmingham is in, but we
haven't had a look at it.
No.
It's definitely post-bombardment.
But it's whether. However we commentate on this, what is clear is that more and more constituent groups are interested in this particular subject. And it's fascinating above all else. It could be considered a worry because it doesn't concern us really at all. Yeah. I don't feel like it's like international news. What goes on elsewhere goes on elsewhere. But day to day, and that's what I think our government should be looking at, it doesn't really impact us at all. Now, obviously, it impacts those people. It'd be interesting to see how that plays out. I think we're going to sit in a honeymoon period now for 2 to 3 weeks. And then
where are we going?
And then you and I aren't going anywhere, unfortunately. Me and Bruce, on the other hand, we're off to
Blackpool.
Yes, where we're doing a double act.
Honeymoon's under a Labour government.
But we're going to have a summer break, aren't we? So right now, all these things are going to become very big stories. We'll have a summer break.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen between the summer and the Christmas break is real life is going to happen. None of the things that Labour have promised to fix are going to get fixed in that period. Yeah. There's going to be a bit of a readjustment in terms of the rose-tinted glasses view of what's about to happen. And I think a lot of this story will start to fade away. I think in a year's time we won't be talking about it in the same way.
Well, yeah, I mean, I admire your optimism that there's going to be any kind of rose-tinted glasses honeymoon period at all. I mean, because the Labour seemed to limp in. It's not like people were motivated to go out and vote for Labour. They almost got in by default because the Tories were so bad. Their share of the vote, or the number of people voting actually went down compared to 2019. It's just people didn't want to vote Conservative.
But that's what the SNP had said in any of the election coverage or whatever, that they weren't upset that people had taken their vote away from them. They knew it was a protest vote in which to get the Tories out. Yeah. If you see what I mean. But you're right in terms of turnout. I think we had a lower turnout. And Mary Black from the SNP, who I like very much, she was on, I think it was Channel 4, and she said that she would be interested to know what the turnout was in Scotland because she knew that it was raining in Scotland on Thursday. And I thought, it was raining in Scotland on Thursday. OK, Mary. I think it was raining on Wednesday.
We've invented umbrellas.
Well, exactly. Tiny brollies, TBs.
So, yeah, I mean, things like that do affect...
Well, do you not remember in 2019 there was an election called, and then Ian Blackford, or as I call him, the human Toby jug, he was very upset because he didn't want it in November because there was no street lighting where he represented.
Right.
And I thought,
so that's a shame. They're like pandas. It's like the mating rituals of pandas. There's only one day every 10 years that the SNP will like, will like an election.
What did he represent? The Victorian era?
I think he represented the ramblings of his own diseased mind.
I mean, sorry, Leo, but we have to say that, Labour will now believe they've got a mandate, but it's not a mandate of absolutely everybody, so they're going to have to tread very carefully because of the turnout being so... Yes, they've got 80% of the seats, but they only had 30% of the vote, and that was 30% of a much smaller turnout than was anticipated, so I don't think they have as big a mandate as they might think they do.
And previously, Labour have spoken about abolishing the first-past-the-post system.
Oh, yeah.
Which is not
anymore. That's scrap with Rwanda. That's gone, mate. First-past-the-post. No one said that. Move on.
But did we not have a referendum about that in 2011?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I think we did, and we voted to reject it. So again, once in a generation.
Was that referendum a first-past-the-post referendum?
I have no idea. I wasn't there. I was a postal vote that didn't get through.
Right. Apparently it was AB plus or something.
I'm dyslexic. I wouldn't know.
I've got no idea. AV plus. I can't remember that.
VR? AVR?
Alternative Vote Plus. It was called. They should have given it a better name.
Yes. Now you took but that
and it didn't.
I'm just going to keep saying yes.
But I mean, we're seeing now. I mean, 4 million votes for reform, and they only get 5 candidates. It's absolutely insane. Now the Greens are in a similar situation, although we'd probably make a much worse government. But the Greens got a lot of votes, but only a couple.
Proportional representation would have its own issues. However, what would be very interesting is you would see 20 to 25% of those seats in Parliament filled with Reform candidates.
Yeah.
And I feel that whilst would cause problems for the uni party and the establishment, it would perhaps sharpen people up a little bit because they would be put under a lot more pressure. I mean, you think that having 5 Reform candidates, MPs within Parliament, it will cause Labour and Conservatives problems. But if you had 25, 30 of them in there, they would really had their feet held to the fire and representing those people. The same with the SNP, the same with Liberals and the Greens.
And there'd be a bloc that could have influence on policy as well.
I want to see it.
I think we're seeing now, for years we've been told that, Reform or UKIP or whoever are, hard right. But actually, they're kind of sensible. And we need some of these, pro-business, pro-growth, and slightly more nativist policies to actually fix some of the damage that's been done. Because one of the things that I'm worried about is seeing how the vote splits by demographics and seeing how it's almost like it's a racial headcount more than a vote on policy. We see this with the this Islamist vote. So I'm worried that as Labour ramp up immigration because they think, well, it's great for us because the people that we bring in will vote for us. That's going to have big unintended consequences that are going to be.
Oh, it's going to be brilliant.
Jess Phillips is already experiencing, the
yeah, and I think that's going to become very interesting because we almost might start to feel sorry for Jess Phillips, which would be quite an unusual emotion for many of us. It's going to be really interesting to see because they keep saying they're going to be the party of growth, and we don't. Along with everything else, they keep saying things are going to be better. They're going to be the party of growth, and they're talking about the economy and business and things like that. They just never say how. So we have absolutely no idea, and it could be growth through immigration, which has worked for Labour in the past. It's how we find ourselves in the position we're in. But it's kind of like chucking, like Simon Evans described it as chucking kindling on a fire. You get this flurry of economic activity, but it's short term. You're not addressing the structural issues underlying your country, and you're also opening up a huge number of problems and fueling inflation and depressing wages. So it's by no means a good way to grow the economy. But coming up, we will assess the week's winners and losers in Cursed or Blessed. This week, Joe Biden says he's a black woman, a Norwegian minister bears all, and as always, we'll discuss the death of the West. Plus, we'll show you what happened next when this man with a pram walked past a pub. Stay tuned to see what happened to him.
He's doing well, mate. What's your secret, mate?
Britain's newsroom. Weekday mornings from 9:30.
Well, we've got quite an extraordinary story to talk to you about now, because a triple amputee war hero is launching a bid to become the first to sail across the Pacific Ocean non-stop, solo and unsupported.
Craig Wood was blown up as a teenager by the Taliban in Afghanistan, but now he's hoping to change the perception of disabled people and raise money for other limbless veterans like himself. And Craig joins us now. Morning.
So, Craig, you are extraordinary. You're planning to take up to 80 days to sail from La Paz in Mexico to Japan.
Yeah.
How many miles is that?
It'll be over 6,000.
Amazing.
Amazing. And it will take you how long?
The minimum it's going to take me is 60 days. It could be up to 80. Yeah.
And that's on your own. You've done plenty of this before, haven't you? You've done lots of solo sailing.
Yeah, I've done quite a bit of solo sailing, but not as big as this. It is the world's biggest ocean, after all.
And why that particular route?
I wanted it to be a challenge, not just for me, but for anyone.
Right.
So any able-bodied person can look at this and go, wow, that is difficult.
Yeah.
And so that was the main drive. Then it's become a bigger thing than that now. I'm raising money for charity, and I can truly inspire people to change their perception on what is possible for disabled people.
And if you don't mind, can we ask you what happened in 2009 in Afghanistan? What were the circumstances of your injury?
I was on a normal routine foot patrol. About 5 metres in front of me, a commando IED was triggered, and subsequently I became a triple amputee. Both legs above the knee, left hand at the wrist, facial injuries, etc., etc.
The People's Channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
GB News brings you accurate reporting of the day's topical agenda.
When the news breaks, wherever and whenever it's happening,
we'll be there.
This is GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Emily Carver. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
It's true.
You're not wrong.
No one will be cancelled.
Lovely. Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Tom Harwood. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the Saturday Night Showdown. Cursed or Blessed is coming up, but first I promised I would show you what happened when a man with a pram walked past a pub.
He's doing well.
Mate. What's your secret, mate?
Oh, he's got a lot of children. That's like the guy, you know, the Netflix documentary, the guy with 1,000 kids.
I've seen that in my listings, but I've just done with selling Manhattan or buying Manhattan.
It didn't sound. I mean,
it was toxic man pants, Leo. I'm totally offended by it all. I don't know what was going on there.
What was in the pram?
Yeah, well, we
was
don't
it
know.
a dog?
Like a baby.
The whole idea is I don't think it was anything to do with the pram. I think he had 3 or 4 women behind him, each holding a baby, and it looked like he was some alpha male of a proud alpha male of a pride of lady types with babies.
Lots of he's been very busy.
A gaggle daddy.
Look, there's only 3 women there. Oh my God.
Almost.
Anyway, it's now time to go through the winners and losers of the week. Joe Biden has said that he's definitely running against Trump. Well, it's more of a shuffle against Trump, really. Let's see what he said.
I'm staying in the race. I'll beat Donald Trump. I will beat him again in 2020.
This was great news for Trump. Joe Biden is not stepping down, and not just because he has trouble with steps. However, Joe Biden hasn't exactly reassured people that he's not suffering from cognitive decline. In fact, he described himself as the first black woman president in a radio interview. Listen to this.
Well, I'm proud to be, as I said, the first vice president, first black woman, served with a black president.
Paul, I mean, this is Trump's dream, having Joe Biden still in the race, and there's another debate scheduled for September.
We know it's Trump's dream because he's not really coming out at any point and going, this is ridiculous. He's keeping stum the whole way, and rightly so. You would want to face Biden. I would fancy my chance as US president if I was chucked in the ring now against Biden.
Yeah, or in judo.
Yeah, anything. Well, I don't know, it could be embarrassing. Imagine if Biden beat me up. Oh, I'd never live it down. For the people's gammon, tackled by Biden. That'd be the end of my career, Leo. Anyway, I don't know what all that was about. So, look, there's a lot of dementia going on there, without a doubt. And every time, we've been asked to talk about this quite a lot over the last couple of years, and it's been funny up until a point. Now it does feel like elder abuse, as we've said before, but it also feels like actually punching down. Like, this guy is quite clearly ill. The people I think that are the people I think that are to blame are the people that are around him, the supporters that keep enabling him by saying there's nothing wrong with him.
Well, yeah, and also because they clearly want to keep their influence and their power, because they're the people really running things. The people around Joe Biden, so Kamala Harris, Jill Biden, all the rest of it. They've got all their power, all the money flowing in, and they don't want to rock that boat. So they, it's going to be like Weekend at Bernie's if they have to. They'll prop him up. They'll make sure he's still there. It's going to be like somebody wheeling a dead person into the bank to steal their money.
Well, what they keep saying is that he's good during the day, because you know that he didn't do that.
To do stuff during the day then.
like tidy up.
What's all this stuff at 4 a.m?
Make the tea. No, but it was, what did Joe say about his, I think, fairly atrocious performance on the debate? He was like, don't let 90 minutes, wipe out 3 years of really good stuff. And what his team was saying was, if you get him during the day, he is a dream.
Yeah.
But that does then, there's international timelines and things like that, so that's not particularly convenient to everyone. But
they said he's really good between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m.
They say that about me, and it's not true.
Job interview to get his job.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a bad president to set.
Wow. A new low.
Yeah. I've been trying to get that joke out. It is though, isn't it? You can go into any job interview now, particularly in the United States of America, and perform really poorly and go, don't judge me on this interview.
Because that's the thing, even though we might have sympathy for him, he's running to be president.
Oh, we can't forget that. And President of the United States is essentially President of the Western world, the free world, the Teen world, all the worlds.
Teen Wolf.
Except Teen Wolf.
I was going to say that. Team Wolf. But anyway, on you go.
But I just don't think it bodes well. It doesn't bode well for America. These are the two best candidates. I can only see a Trump win. I can only see a Trump win.
At this point, absolutely. And I think Trump's going to be finagling it so that he's running against Biden if he can.
I just kind of think, though, with Biden's family, it's like you're humiliating your dad, you're humiliating your spouse. Like, seriously, let's not cast nasturtiums as to what's wrong with them because none of us know. But the fact of the matter is something's up. I mean, Joe Biden turned up at school and was told to F off.
Yeah, I saw that. A kid, a very astute kid. Anyway, June was Pride Month, you might have noticed.
No.
People paraded to celebrate the West's new religion. We're told by the alphabet people that transgender women are women. There's no difference. And they're stunningly beautiful and brave women. One roving reporter mistook a woman for a trans woman, and her response is very revealing. Let's take a look.
Trans women out here, tell us about your transition, how it went.
Can I hold this, please?
No.
So I have a question for you. Why are you asking me those questions?
Like we're interviewing like trans women and stuff like that.
I'm not a trans woman. I'm a...
Oh no, we're fully supportive. Do you want to talk about sort of transitioning or anything like that, or like what people can?
I never transitioned because I was born a woman.
No, of course you're a woman. Of course.
Does it make a trans woman any less of a woman?
No, you are 100% a woman.
I'm not a trans woman.
Is there another definition that people like to use, or?
You thought I was a man?
She said it. She said, you thought I was a man. She admitted it. It shows that deep down, the right-on people really do think that trans women are actually men. I mean, does this reveal that even the people who insist that trans women are women don't really believe it?
I don't understand the hat. That's my big thing.
That's a nice deflection.
No, I'm going into politics now. I'm not answering questions.
That's a nice way of stepping around the landmine.
I don't understand that. I don't understand any of it, Bruce.
Well, you're a man who doesn't care about his career.
No, this is my career, Leo. This is all I care about. It is revealing. what can you say? The thing is, these types of situations and the ongoing debate takes away from any of the value of the trans debate. There are still trans people out there that would much rather just be getting on with their lives. And what's happening is they're being supported by people who really aren't invested in it whatsoever. They're doing it for their own benefit, and we can see with that lady there. Now, I don't know if that was a spoof or not. I know she was not a plant, but what I mean is he quite clearly that was genius the way he navigated that, and he got her to say all the right things. Unfortunately, what it does is it still masks the problem. We still have this problem in society where trans people aren't treated as if they are regular, normal people within society. And then I think a trans woman can be treated like trans women can get treated like women if they put the effort in. Yes. You know what I mean? So you're a trans woman. Well, I'm a trans woman, but so many trans women or whatever, they'll be like, my pronouns are, she and her, and it's like, well, you don't look like a she or a her. Why don't you put the effort in? At least meet me halfway. You know what I mean? If I'm having to do your transition in my brain, it's not my transition. Why am I having to do the work?
My pronouns are he, she.
That's great.
Because I just like to confuse people.
Right.
They can also be F and off.
I thought it was a chocolate thing.
No.
Hershey.
No. That's not real chocolate.
I know, it tastes like sick. Anyway, the trans thing is gonna take off because Labour are gonna bring in self-ID and reintroduce gender ideology in schools. It's gonna be an absolute clown show. Anyway, from 25th November 2025, electric vehicle drivers will have to pay £15 per day to drive in London's congestion charge zone. Transport for London has confirmed this week. Nothing says Merry Christmas like a new tax. Electric vehicles don't release emissions, not locally anyway. Surely this shows that it was all just a cash grab. I mean, Sadiq Khan encouraged everyone to buy an electric vehicle. Now he's stinging them with a tax. He's encouraging people to get diesel cars again. I mean, this is ridiculous. So the congestion, just for context, the congestion charge zone is essentially Zone 1, very central London. If you drive in any other car at the moment, you will pay £15 per day, and you'll pay £10 a day for an electric vehicle. To make the electric vehicles exactly the same as a diesel or petrol vehicle does seem a little bit counterproductive. I mean, the whole point of a congestion charge zone, I mean, it's to reduce congestion, I get that, but it was sold on improving air quality. In the centre of London, it did have pretty ropey air quality, so you can understand trying to eliminate diesel trucks and things like that from the centre of London. Although, for some reason, I don't know how paying £15 suddenly makes the fumes that they emit okay to breathe in.
But then I thought electric cars were zero emissions. So I don't understand that, and it's funny that you go back to diesel because we were all encouraged to buy diesel. I only had I got rid of my diesel in 2017, and we were all told no, that is the way forward, that is the way forward, and then it's now buy an electric car. But then you don't realise the stress on the planet from, I think it's something to do with the way they do the batteries, the weight of the vehicles, they muck up the roads, and now you're being charged for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I saw the signs that said les, I just thought it was homophobia. Believe me, because I didn't understand.
I'm happy to treat the planet like I treat my body, Leo, so we're in complete...
Like a lady.
Like a lady. Well, next on the Saturday Night Showdown, a crazy government trans rights video and the BBC licence fee collectors harass a dying woman. Plus, I'll show you what happened next when TalkSport found a German England fan. See the end of this video in a couple of minutes.
You're a German that supports England.
Hello, welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. As we go into Sunday, it's a case of showers, once again sunny spells, and still feeling on the cool side for the time of year. We've got this area of low pressure moving out towards the east and driving northwesterly winds, so bringing that fresher feel for Sunday. But it's turning dry across parts of England through this evening with some late evening sunshine. Clear spells elsewhere, but a few showers mainly coming into western parts of England and into Wales and northwestern England as well. But still, temperatures around 10 or 11 degrees, but under the clearest skies across Scotland could dip down into the mid-single figures. So to start Sunday morning then, we've got plenty of showers coming in towards the southwest of England into Wales. These could be heavy at times as well. Driest further towards the east with some bright sunshine here, but Some heavy showers, possibly thundery across northwestern England as well. Sunny spells, scattered showers across Northern Ireland, but drier but fresher to start on Sunday morning across parts of Scotland, with some outbreaks of rain across Orkney and Shetland. As we go through Sunday morning and into the afternoon, those showers will continue to push their way eastwards, turning heavy at times and becoming more widespread as we go through the day. Could turn thundery at times across southern parts of Scotland, northern England and central England as well. But we have got lighter winds out there compared to today, so that will help lift the temperatures just slightly, perhaps feeling a bit warmer, 19 or 18 degrees, but a little bit warmer in Scotland too. A fresh start to Monday morning, plenty of dry weather first thing. We'll start to see some showers breaking out across the northern parts of England and Scotland, but another area of low pressure towards the south, bringing cloudier skies and outbreaks of rain. And that sets the scene really through Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday with outbreaks of rain, temperatures generally around average.
Good afternoon, Britain.
Your lunchtime update on the stories that matter across the UK.
From breaking news and insightful analysis, inspiring stories and lively debates. You're comparing yourself to a former Prime Minister.
Which is it?
Stay informed, stay updated, stay entertained.
I just don't know how anyone would not want to be there.
Every weekday from midday.
We are Good Afternoon Britain, only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Dubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the argument. We get rid of the disrespect. And then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together and what have we got, in my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the Saturday Night Showdown. We've got more craziness coming up, but first I promised I would show you what happened when TalkSport found a German-English fan. Look at this.
You're a German that supports England.
Yeah, I support England since my youth, when I went with the young boys and girls in West Berlin for fishing, and their fathers were English ones, and they took me to the football games, first to their families, then to the football games, and then I was influenced by the English virus. Best team in the world, best people in the world. I love them so much, more than Germany.
There's a lot to unwrap there. I mean, was that Henning Ben's dad?
Was that Princess Michael of Kent?
I just think if World War II had gone a different way, we'd be hearing that same voice going, "Papers, please."
It is that accent, though, isn't it? You know, I don't want to be everything people expect of me, xenophobic, racist.
You're allowed to against Germans.
But yeah, surely, especially here on the People's Channel. But that accent is terrifying. I wasn't even listening to what he was saying. I was thinking, what have I done wrong? Where should I go?
Yeah, they didn't need tanks, just the accent. Anyway, the Victorian state government in Australia has been accused of gaslighting women after releasing a public service ad showing a woman leaving a lift after a man in a dress entered. Let's take a look. For anyone listening on radio, that was a woman in a lift and then a trans woman gets in and then the woman gets out. And the text on screen says, trans and gender diverse people deserve to feel safe. So the idea is that a woman getting out of a lift makes the transgender woman feel unsafe. Now, I find this somewhat strange. Who feels unsafe because someone gets out of their lift? Maybe the woman felt unsafe at being trapped in an enclosed space with a massive biological male who, to be frank, looks like a rugby player wearing a frock and a stag do. It only seemed like a few years ago that we actually cared about women's safety and wanted to empower women to take control of situations and their safety. Apparently not. The funniest thing is, this campaign is called The Unsaid Says a Lot. I mean, yes, it does. The unsaid being women don't like a man in a dress sharing their spaces. I mean, Paul, I'll go to you because Bruce will just talk about her hat. Why do only one group of people's feelings matter? Like, so women are dismissed and called TERFs if they have any issue with trans women in their spaces, you know, be that changing rooms or women's sports, or in this case, a lift. And we've got to elevate the feelings of trans people over everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, it should be a discussion point, really. What was interesting,
yeah,
we are.
That's what this is.
That's my job, isn't it? So, what was quite interesting, we listened very carefully. As the guy in a dress got into the lift, it creaked. As if it was a real heavy-set man, and the lady I think, was just worried about whether the lift was going to make it up to the next floor or so.
This is 6 people only on the wall.
I can't comment on creaking shafts or people's weight because I balloon myself. I'm up and down. I think it's a lot to do with the colour of the frock.
Yeah.
Green was very spring, and now we're in summer, so maybe this woman was appalled at the fashion choice.
Maybe she just had a migraine and didn't want to look at that frock. This next story genuinely shocked me. The BBC licence fee collectors were chasing a woman for non-payment of the licence fee. When they discovered that the woman had terminal breast cancer, what do you think they did? Did they write it off? Did they say, don't worry about it, you've got enough problems on your plate? No, they fast-tracked her prosecution to try to convict her before her cancer killed her. I guess Gary Lineker's £1.35 million a year has to come from somewhere, right? Seriously though, how on earth can they justify a tax to pay for a media organisation that fewer and fewer people watch and collect it in such a callous way? It's sexist, as well as women are more likely to be convicted than men of non-payment of licence fee. Almost a third of women's convictions are for not paying the TV licence fee. TV licensing have now issued an apology and admitted that this poor woman should never have been taken to court. Who'd have thunk it? I mean, Bruce, do you think it's time to do away with the licence fee?
Yeah, I think so. There's so little on BBC that I want to watch.
There's so many other options.
Well, exactly, like not watching. And buying hats. But no, I mean, have you seen Doctors? The last time I tuned into an episode, the receptionist married her cat.
Really?
Yeah. That's true.
That sounds like something that would be taught in schools these days.
Well, there you go.
But I mean,
there is a degree.
I haven't paid, there probably is, I haven't paid my TV licence in ages, and so I can't watch Doctors because it's a BBC production.
You're really lucky.
If you don't watch the BBC or log into any BBC services, you don't have to pay your TV licence. And I did have the people come round to the door, and this is going back about 15 years, but I answered the door, I was really hungover and I was in my boxer shorts, and the guy said, you don't have a TV licence. I was like, oh, come in, I'll show you my TV, I've not got it hooked up to an aerial. And he said, no, I'll just take this box that says, never visit your house again. That's how you do it. You just answer the
You're 6'4" though, aren't you? So, you know.
6'6", Paul.
Sorry, it's all tall to me, trust me.
I wouldn't get your weight wrong.
I mean, I'll tell you who doesn't. I wouldn't get your weight wrong. That should be a section of this show, by the way. Guess my weight.
Anyway, sponsored by Ozempic.
I've got things to say. I'm impassioned about this. I'll tell you who doesn't chase dying people for money. GBNews. Don't watch the BBC. Don't pay the licence fee. You don't have to anymore. I mean, I'm assuming there's probably some context to this that we may be missing. Probably it's an agency that don't care.
I think it's just the Kafkaesque bureaucracy of any sort of organisation.
But it shouldn't be associated with the BBC in any way, shape or form, and the way they can disassociate it is by not having the licence fee and competing with the rest of us.
Yeah.
That's what they need to be able to do now.
I should probably push back on Paul's comments there and say you definitely should pay the licence fee. It's a fantastic service and enjoyed by many.
Sorry, yeah. I mean, but what's GBNews for the crying out loud?
They are. That's where you are. That's the people you're speaking to. Anyway, moving on. A 12-year-old boy has been referred to counter-extremism police by his school. Why do you think this was? Was he a member of ISIS? Did he have a pressure cooker bomb in his bedroom? Had he not paid his TV licence? Well, not quite. He made a number of apparently extremist comments, such as there is no such thing as non-binary and that he is gay and not queer. Oh, it's bone-chilling stuff. I mean, what is genuinely concerning is that woke ideology is now so embedded in our educational system that the school thought that this child needed to be referred to the authorities. I mean, Bruce, we hear a lot about Prevent focusing on really tame examples of, what's considered far-right extremism. For example, a sticker that says "Love your nation" or something, equally horrific.
Or vote SNP.
Well, that actually does offend me. But I mean, this seems ridiculous to me. This is a kid. He's clearly one of he's on the LGBTQ list himself. He says he's gay, but he doesn't see himself as queer.
But so many gay people don't see themselves as queer because they remember they're maybe my age, 29 stone, and but a lot of people still hate the word queer. They hate to be associated with it, and I understand that generationally things move, and there are an army of people that are trying to reclaim the word for whatever. But a lot of people really have a problem with it. They're like, I'm gay, I'm not queer, because in my day, and probably your day, and Lord only knows how Benjamin Button is age-wise, but queer was a real insult. Queer, there was something wrong with you. Are you queer? Queer as a three-bob note, I think, was the phrase. That was before we came out of Europe, of course, and currency all went mental. But the fact of the matter is a lot of people really, really do struggle with the term. And if someone believes that non-binary is not a thing, then at 12, are you not entitled to your own opinion?
Yeah, I mean,
it's not like he's flying around the world screaming.
Yeah. I mean,
well, yet.
Yeah, he might get a job as a pilot and do that. And a lot of people don't like queer because it's something that can be used by straight people. I've seen comedians, a lot of comedians do that. They're
you can get a better
I've only ever had heterosexual sex, but I identify as queer.
Oh my God! So sorry, I was on with someone, and this was a couple of weeks ago. They were heterosexual in a monogamous relationship, but they identified as queer. And I thought, for what? Funding?
Yeah, literally.
Council funding.
Did you try and, because it's the cool thing to be now. It's like a fad. And also, for Prevent, for counter-extremism police to be looking at a 12-year-old kid who's just said something like this, instead of looking at, we've got 40,000 Islamists on MI5 terror watch lists. I mean, this is taking resources away from that.
Well, there's an incredible amount to unpick in this little story, actually. And, first of all, let's say the kid was wrong in some people's perspectives. That doesn't mean that he's broken any laws or done anything wrong in accordance with the school or society. People are entitled to have views. You could say the same thing for all the people that push Gaza in Birmingham.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily believe they add any value at all, but we would never say they should be arrested.
I would.
Much in the way you might do. Jess Phillips would, for sure. But, it's this is the trouble with the flag now, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, next on the Saturday Night Showdown, we've got a weird and wonderful clown world with a robot painter, more Pride Madness, and a Norwegian politician getting naked. Plus, I'll show you what happened next when this man tried his hand at romance. Find out how it went for him in a couple of minutes.
Britain's Newsroom. Weekday mornings from 9:30.
He fell into a coma. His family, of course, absolutely distraught. Because Turkey is outside the European Union, it therefore doesn't count under the Global Health Insurance Card scheme, which means that he is liable for these costs, and the family say that he's being held there for until they pay at least half the £41,000 that is owed.
One of our viewers here saying their premium, because they have health conditions, can be as much as £1,000. But if they're going to go overseas to, as you say, a non-EU country, they still should take it. That's the message here, isn't it? Don't take the risk.
Absolutely. Now, if you do have lots of pre-existing medical conditions, or you're an older person, my lovely mother-in-law is going to be 95 this week. She's still travelling, but only within Europe. And only because the cost of insurance is going to be many times the cost of the trip. And she just thinks, OK, well, I'll get emergency medical treatment free if I'm in the European Union and I've got that GHIC card. But beyond that, absolutely not. It's not worth the risk.
You have to have your card, do you, Simon, to get treatment within the EU? You should just apply for that online.
You should certainly apply for it online. Don't go to any of the scam sites that want to charge you money for it, because it's a free card. But actually, if you haven't, it's absolutely not a huge problem. Yes, you have to go through a bit of rigmarole, or at least your family do, to sort it out. But in general, if you go to a public hospital, they will treat you first and ask questions later in the European Union. And if you're a British resident, you should get it for free. Even if you forgot to get the G-Hit card, they will sort it out eventually.
Britain's election channel. GB News, the People's Channel.
Are the newspapers getting you down?
My wife didn't divorce me that month.
Struggling to separate the wheat from the chaff?
I know that it's a bit of a circus at the best of times.
Well, don't worry. Headliners has got you covered. We'll take the burden of reading the day's news, and if we get depressed, who cares? It's an occupational hazard, frankly. That's Headliners on GB News from 11 p.m. till midnight, and the following morning, 5 till 6 a.m. on GB News, the comedy channel. Nah, just kidding. Britain's news channel.
I'm Patrick Christie's. Every weeknight from 9, I bring you 2 hours of unmissable, explosive debate and headline-grabbing interviews. What impact has that had?
We got death threats and the bomb threat and so on.
As time passes,
She could have saved Storm.
You made my argument for me.
My guest and I tackle the issues that really matter with a sharp take on every story.
Went everywhere.
something practical could be done.
Or I can become something different. Patrick Christie's tonight from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the Saturday Night Showdown. Clown World is coming up, but first I promised I would show you what happened when this man tried his hand at a romantic proposal. Amazing. Anyway, will robots take our jobs? In recent months, we've seen a fully robotic McDonald's, and self-driving cars are just around the corner, although they're having a bit of trouble driving around that corner. Now it looks like painters and decorators will also be in the dole queue when the robots take over. Have a look at this. That the population crunch means we don't have enough people for jobs. Will robots save us? Do you think robots are going to provide, we're not going to need people to come in and do jobs?
Who's going to buy the sun if there's no working class people? You're not going to...
We can teach the robots to read, although they'll probably want to read some more highbrow like the Telegraph.
All the Robot Times, I don't know which. I mean... for me, I don't like painting and decorating. I'd like one of those £1 million machines there to do it for me. And I think that's going to be the problem. They're going to be very expensive. And it will be huge firms that are able to afford them, and they'll still pay labour. By labour, I mean not the political party.
Yeah, well, they don't need to pay robots anything. That's the great thing about them. Moving on, pride parades have become family events. And as we all know, nothing says family fun like grown adults swinging their tallywhackers around. Are they really child-friendly, though? Let's have a look at this pride parade in the good old US of A. That was a pride parade, and the people were naked, and also I think they're Japanese, because I recognise those pixelated genitalia, which you only get in Japanese people. But why do liberal parents insist on bringing their kids to make eye contact with a grown man's aims?
Well, I've no idea. I've never had children, and for that reason, I'm glad I'm sterilised. Because I would not, if I had children, I wouldn't take them to see that.
Yeah.
And I don't understand, genuinely, I don't understand why, whatever you think of pride, it's meant to show that we still need the message brought across that there's nothing harmful. But when you see things like that, you're like, why have you got your doodle out in the street?
Yeah, and also pride. I mean, I think it's historically been a great movement, but I think some of the shine's coming off it because it now stands for gender ideology and straight people with fetishes, and also the transgender element have actually been pushing out some of the gay element.
I think, sadly, what's happened is the cause has been lost slightly. I think there was a point reached where most people were accepting, and I think that's about the best you can get from any society, really. Most people are accepting of things, and they've just pushed it beyond that.
Yeah.
Now, there's a bit of a double standard here, because I was once walking down the street and we doodle hanging out, and I was waving it about, and there weren't people cheering, I can tell you that.
And that's how we met.
For different reasons.
quickly fit this one in. In Norway, the home of Edvard Grieg, Rikard Nordrak and Johan Svensson, a country once famous for whatever those guys did, has descended into decadence as a Norwegian politician got naked. Take a look.
Jeg tok ikke på meg glitter, jeg tok ikke på meg paljetter.
That's Norway's culture minister, and I do apologise to anyone who got excited when they heard a Norwegian was getting naked. It turns out they do have some unattractive people. I mean, why is there an epidemic of ugly people being models or getting their bits out, Paul?
I don't care about that. I think it's great, because I've got a chance now. I see myself as both a politician and a model.
I would like to point out I would not take my child to see that either.
Oh, no.
If you like biscuits, stay in.
Thanks to my brilliant panel tonight, Bruce Devlin and Paul Cox. They're fantastic live comedians. Make sure you check out their touring schedules and catch them live, and see you again next week. And don't forget headliners as well, tonight at 11 p.m. Paul is going to be on there, so check that out, 11 p.m. Goodbye.
Looks like things are heating up. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. As we go into Sunday, it's a case of showers, once again sunny spells, and still feeling on the cool side for the time of year. We've got this area of low pressure moving out towards the east and driving northwesterly winds, so bringing that fresher feel for Sunday. But it's turning dry across parts of England through this evening with some late evening sunshine. Clear spells elsewhere, but a few showers mainly coming into western parts of England and into Wales and northwestern England as well. But still, temperatures around 10 or 11 degrees, but under the clearest skies across Scotland could dip down into the mid-single figures. So to start Sunday morning then, we've got plenty of showers coming in towards the southwest of England into Wales. These could be heavy at times as well. Driest further towards the east with some bright sunshine here, but some heavy showers, possibly thundery across northwestern England as well. Sunny spells, scattered showers across Northern Ireland, but drier but fresher to start on Sunday morning across parts of Scotland, with some outbreaks of rain across Orkney and Shetland. As we go through Sunday morning and into the afternoon, those showers will continue to push their way eastwards, turning heavy at times and becoming more widespread as we go through the day. Could turn thundery at times across southern parts of Scotland, northern England and central England as well. But we have got lighter winds out there compared to today, so that will help lift the temperatures just slightly, perhaps feeling a bit warmer, 19 or 18 degrees, but a little bit warmer in Scotland too. A fresh start to Monday morning, plenty of dry weather first thing. We'll start to see some showers breaking out across the northern parts of England and Scotland, but another area of low pressure towards the south, bringing cloudier skies and outbreaks of rain. And that sets the scene really through Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, with outbreaks of rain, temperatures generally around average.
A brighter outlook with Box Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Summer could be a scorcher, with your chance to win £30,000 cash, our biggest cash prize to date. It's totally tax-free, which means you get to spend every single penny however you like. What plans would you make with an extra £30,000 cash in your bank account? Take your family on the ultimate holiday, buy that treat that's always seemed out of reach, or just put it in the bank for a later date. However you'd spend it, make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win £30,000 in tax-free cash, text cash to 63232. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You can enter online at gbnews.com/win. Entries cost £2, or post your name and number to GB07 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on the 30th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
I'm Tom Harwood. This is GB News. Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain.
Your lunchtime update on the stories that matter across the UK.
From breaking news and insightful analysis, inspiring stories and lively debates. You're comparing yourself to a former Prime Minister.
Which is it?
Stay informed, stay updated, stay entertained.
I just don't know how anyone would not want to be there.
Every weekday from midday,
We are Good Afternoon Britain, only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
I'm Arlene Foster on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Jubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the arguments. We get rid of the disrespect. And then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together and what have we got, in my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Ellie Costello, and thank you so much for joining us here on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Patrick Christie's. Every weeknight from 9, I bring you 2 hours of unmissable, explosive debate and headline-grabbing interviews. What impact has that had?
We got death threats and the bomb threats on.
As time passes,
She could have said storm. You made my argument for me.
My guest and I tackle the issues that really matter with a sharp take on every story.
Went everywhere.
something practical could be done.
Or I can become something different.
Patrick Christie's tonight from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Come on, England. Yes, folks, England are through to the semi-final of the Euros. Big congratulations to them. It's official, folks. It's coming home. It's 9 o'clock on TV, on radio and online in the United Kingdom and across the world. This is Mark Dolan Tonight. In my big opinion, why the Conservatives suffered their biggest defeat in over 100 years and where they go from here. Is a deal with Nigel Farage already in the works? In the big story, should the Conservatives and Reform UK merge? I'll be asking former Conservative Government Minister Edwina Currie. And in my take at 10, my verdict on the victorious Sir Keir Starmer. I'll be sharing my hopes and concerns about our new Prime Minister. Two hours of big opinion, big debate and big entertainment. What went wrong for the Tories? That is straight after the news headlines and Tatiana Sanchez.
Mark, thank you and good evening. The top stories. England are through to the Euro 2024 semi-finals after beating Switzerland.